The thick tail of the warlord flicked out venomously at Matthias's face. He covered swiftly with his shield as the poisoned metal barb clanged harmlessly off it. Clooney tried again, this time whipping the tail speedily at the young mouse's unprotected legs. Matthias leapt nimbly to one side and swung his sword in a flashing arc. Clooney roared with pain as it severed the tip of his tail. The bloody stub lay on the grass with the barbs still attached. Hurling the abbot's chair at his adversary, the rat seized an iron spike. Metal clashed on metal as the warrior mouse parried Clooney's thrusts. They battled across the green abbey lawns, right through the center of the meal-storm of worried creatures. Oblivious to the fighting around them, they sought to destroy each other, hacking, stabbing, lunging, and swinging in mortal combat. Meanwhile, teams of sparrow warriors were jointly lifting struggling rats and flying high to drop them into the middle of the abbey pond. Ferrets had cornered a band of shrews and were threatening to massacre them when a column of otters sprang to the rescue. Keeping heavy pebbles locked in their slings, they battered continuously at the ferrets. Besieged by fierce sparrows, rat sentries leapt in panic from the top of the ramparts. Those who stayed were dealt with by Jess Squirrel, who swung a heavy iron chain around like a deadly flail. Down below, Ambrose Spike was rolling about like a whirling ball of needles. Silent Sam acted with his eyes, propelling him into each fresh bunch of rats with a long stick. Matthias and Clooney continued battling savagely. Iron smashed upon steel as Clooney called up reserves from his vast strength and cunning to defeat his opponent. Twice he had hurled clawfuls of soil at Matthias's eyes, but each time the shield rose swiftly and deflected them. The warrior mouse hacked away stoically. He was beginning to feel his paws numbed by the jarring blows of the hefty iron railing against the sword blade. Clooney, too, felt the vibrations each time the sword clanged upon his weapon. The pain shot right through him, down to the tip of his injured tail. Along the ramparts they fought, blinded by sweat, panting and blowing, neither asking nor giving quarter. Down the stairs and across the grass once more, they slashed and struck at each other, right up to the entrance of Great Hall. Clooney dodged behind the half-open abbey door and hit out at his attacker. Matthias's sword point lodged deep in the wood. Seizing his chance, the rat dodged nimbly into the open and battered madly at Matthias's upheld shield until he was forced to drop it. Clooney's iron spike drove cruelly into the mouse's unguarded paw. Matthias cried out and instinctively kicked the shield upwards at his adversary. It struck Clooney square in the chin, the sharp metal edge causing a long slash. As the rat reeled away, clutching at his throat, Matthias freed the sword from the door. Ignoring their wounds, they immediately clashed again, going at it hammer and tongs. Clooney lashed out with his bleeding tail and tripped Matthias. As the warrior mouse lay upon the ground, the rat roared and stabbed downwards with his spiked railing. Matthias rolled to one side. The point sank deep into the earth. He struggled to his feet, striking out and scoring Clooney heavily down the side. But the long tail whipped out, lashing the warrior mouse several times across the face. Clooney staggered into the entrance of the bell tower, where Friar Hugo had been tolling the Joseph bell. At the sight of the rat warlord, he released the rope and scuttled underneath the stairs, where he hid, trembling. Matthias came thundering in. Clooney dodged around him and slammed the door, locking them in together. If only he could get the mouse at close quarters and stop him from using the sword, Clooney thought. Then he could win with his superior strength. They locked in combat again. Clooney bared the railing across the sword blade. Pushing with both claws, he drove Matthias backwards. Now he could see victory in sight. If only he could pin the warrior mouse against the wall, he would be able to throttle him with the edge of the railing. Clooney braced his feet and strained. He could feel the breath laboring raggedly within his chest. He must win. The voices had told him he would never again see the warrior after the sun set upon this day. The prophecy had to be fulfilled once and for all. Remorselessly, he used his greater strength to drive the young mouse backwards. They were only inches from the wall now. Matthias realized what Clooney was doing. He would be finished once he was pinned against the wall. There was only one thing to do. Matthias suddenly swerved aside and collapsed on his back. Kicking his legs out rigid, he sent Clooney crashing into the wall. Matthias leapt over Clooney and bounded up the spiral stairs into the darkness of the belfry. Clooney lay against the wall, panting heavily. He managed an evil, wheezing laugh. "There's no way out up there, mouse," he called. "I'm coming up after you. You're as good as dead now." Matthias didn't reply. He sat exhausted up in the dark belfry with his legs dangling over the stout timber bell axle. Down below, Clooney squatted against the wall, glad of the chance to take a breather. Beneath the dusty stairs, Friar Hugo sneezed. Laughing triumphantly, Clooney seized the little fat friar by his tail and dragged him from his hiding place. "Look, mouse," he called. "See, I've got your little fat friend. Ha! I won't have to climb those stairs after all. Throw the sword down, or I'll spike him like a lollipop." From his vantage point, Matthias looked down. Far below him, on the floor, he could see Clooney holding the spike under Friar Hugo's chin. Clooney gave the point a little jab. Hugo gurgled unhappily. "You see, all it takes is a little harder push and he's dead. Now throw down your sword and get yourself down here, quick." Matthias peered over the rim of the Joseph Bell. "All right, rat, you win. But how do I know you'll keep your word? First, let the friar go. Then I promise on my honor as a warrior that I will come down." Clooney grinned wickedly. There it was again, that stupid thing called honor, the code of warrior. But it was not his code. He had won. "Get out of my sight, you sniveling little wretch," he grated, thrusting Friar Hugo away from him. The frightened mouse dived back underneath the stairs. Clooney stood in the center of the room, his one eye straining to catch sight of Matthias in the belfry. Blood dripping from the dozen wounds the mouse warrior had inflicted upon him during the course of their battle. But now he knew he had won. The voices had been right. He would soon see the last of the mouse warrior.